Hello there! So I've recently caught up on the Beyblade X animation with episodes 43 to 45, and I would have to say this is probably the best written episodes I have seen for Beyblade X consecutively. The reason why I kind of took this kind of break when watching Beyblade X is mostly because of the fact that I feel with how OLM, or whatever the specific team that does the Beyblade X animation, I feel the weakest aspects are literally the battles, and some of the compositing, some of the art in the animation. You know, I feel overall it is kind of a low standard than what we've previously gotten. Obviously, there is a circumstance to this with how the X-Inmate came to be, yada yada yada. Nonetheless, the one thing I always kind of stand by is that character writing, and whenever they expand on the story, is always peak. And this is exactly what we get to see with these episodes, so I want to delve right into it. So we're gonna basically go over to episode 43, which is Pendragon Back Then. So Pendragon gets asked questions about anything about Common X or Exu Korusu, and Chrome gets very triggered by this. Shieru wants to prove himself to Chrome, and Chrome just does not give a shit about him. And basically get the origin of Chrome, where he's winning all these champions, all these battles, whatever, and Queen is basically scouting him, and he's seeing him through his journey. He eventually meets the Pendragon sponsor, which was like, you know, that little nice jewelry or whatever that he kind of has or that he's wearing, and he battles Exu one time. He's like, hey, check out this new recruit that we got. And when he loses to Exu, he's like, hey, why do you even want to battle again if we already know that the result is decided, like you are stronger? And Exu's like, well, Beyblade is fun. And this is what sparks inside of him for his little insane obsession over Exu, because he's like, how is someone so strong and so powerful exist in this world? And he eventually, like, more and more and more as you get through these episodes, it's like the only thing that he cares about. He only cares about Exu, because it's what's going to drive him to be stronger. And it gets to a point where he's talking with Siguru, and he's like, oh, me and him are gonna climb. We're the strongest together. If we're together, nothing can stop us. And Shiguru is like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm also on the team. And it basically goes even further now, because he's basically battling against Queen, and she sees all these like insane emotions that are coming from, because she activates the Bag of Wisdom, which is like this technique where basically like she can see into basically like the future, see what her opponents can do, and it does not work. He's too strong, which basically negates the ability, and he beats her right away. And she's trying to give him advice, and he's like, oh no, sorry, I don't listen to weaklings. And something else I really like about this episode is where, no matter what he does not care about any of this PR stuff that he is doing, anything at all. All that he cares about is to be with Exu, because it is driving him. That's all that he ever wants or needs in the blading world. If he has that, he'll be satisfied. And Brother is insane, by the way. Brother is insane. So for like this upcoming match, which I think is like whatever, like the title match or whatever, he's like, hey, can I borrow Drawn Sword? And the reason for this, which we saw at the start of Beyblade X, why he borrows the Bey, is because of the fact that he wants to get that much closer to Exu. At the end of it, by the way, that he does all these insane stuff where he just copy everything that he does, all of his habits. Exu's like, nah, I want to leave. He is so mentally broken from that point. He has been trying to fill the void in any way possible, but has been very destructive to himself and around him. He's tried to create like this mental copy of Exu that's with him, that, oh, I have X because he's right with me. And because of that, that's like when you see Cobalt Dragoon is completed. And I think this episode is really, really good, because you essentially see Chrome's insanity, how it kind of started off, and they really expand on the manga flashback that they kind of had, and this obsession that he has with him that becomes more and more unhinged. Now you move on to episode 44, which is Family Back Then. This is the origin you see for basically the past with Multi and Shiguru, and the shady history with Hellside that we've been kind of hinted towards, where Multi is basically great at everything except for Beyblade, and Shiguru is bad at everything, but she's very good at Beyblade, so they're kind of polar opposites to each other. Multi's having fun, she picks up Beyblade. Multi has her friends getting bullied at school. She tries to beat the bully and fails. Shiguru picks up, and what's really interesting about this is that in the line that mentions that she's like, I can only use a balance type Beyblade, she's trying to find the Bey that gives her the right feeling of like, this is the partner that I want to use in battle, that she uses like the Leon Claw that Multi had that was a balance type, and then after she beats the bully right away, Multi basically kind of gets a little bit of resentment towards her sister, because she's like, how are you so good at Beyblade? How are you already this much stronger than me? And she has a little bit of distance from her from that point onwards. But what's interesting is that she always beats Multi every single time. Multi became a Bay Crafter and made Hell Scythe for Shigeru, right? It wasn't completed at the time. Eventually, you know, Shigeru is basically getting recruited for like this like model shoot, and then after eventually Pendragon, and Multi kind of have a little bit of this cold distance between each other, where she's like, hey, if I were to leave, how do you feel? And Multi's like, oh, I'd probably be sad or whatever, just by a little bit. And he's like, hey, if you had to make a decision, well, how would you go about that process? And Multi's like, oh, well, I'll consider the options, and ultimately, like, I would do whatever makes the most amount of sense to do. But Multi's like, hey, you also get pretty easily influenced, and you'd probably just follow that, which is really funny, because afterwards, when she's battling against Chrome, they go, hey, what bait are you using? And she's like, oh, this was family made. It's like, no, you're not using that dog shit. If you want to be at the top, you got to use only meta stuff. I'll make a base specifically for you. So she essentially, after she goes to see Multi, which by the way, Multi all this time was preparing for Shigeru's birthday, where she was going to give the invitation where they would basically be together in Team Rainbow, which is really sad that it's now, when Multi was basically a solo team at the start, she was supposed to be paired up with her sister, and she was supposed to use the Hell Scythe that was completed. She sees that she has Weiss Tiger, and basically how Shigeru views kind of like this blading stuff, it's like, if you lose, you're weak, and she does not really care for any like weak bladers or whatever. Even funny too, because she's weaker than Chrome and Exu, and she talks to Exu's like, hey, I'm pretty weak, by the way. Should I even be in Pendragon? And Exu's like, no, it's about having fun. And I like that interaction, like, that's from these episodes, that really, like, you really start to understand these characters quite a bit, where it's like, I feel like a lot of the problems in Beyblade X would be solved, like, characters just talk to each other just like a teensy bit more. Dude, it just gets really sad at the end that basically that her sister leaves, and Multi basically only wants to become a pro just to beat her sister, to have a bay that she made, which I think is a really cool thing that they have going into the finale. And she wanted to even, like, beat Hell Scythe, her past self, right, to move forward. And that's why Bird has the bay at the start. And I think that's really, really cool how they connect everything together. There didn't have to be any meaning to this, but to give this backstory, I think, is really, really strong. So overall, gives really good complexity to the relationship between both of the sisters in Beyblade X, and I think was a very good watch. 45 is You Back Then, where you essentially see the idea of Never Meet Your Idol, where Shigeru, I have to get used to this. I don't like saying the name like that, but whatever. Basically, it mirrors Bird's start at Beyblade X, which is episode 45, by the way. What we basically see is that he kind of goes through the similar path that Bird does, you know, is trying to climb, you know, all that stuff, whatever. He's specifically using Cobalt Drake, and he idolizes Chrome so much. He wants Chrome's respect, which we see through these previous episodes when he goes to Chrome and he's like, hey, please give me your respect. I want your respect. After, like, in episode 43 in Pendragon when they're talking. Eventually he battles Takume and he loses, and eventually afterwards, as he starts climbing back, by the way, Chrome gives him Black Stones, like, hey, I know you're gonna do well. You're not gonna disappoint me. Him and Takume eventually rematch, and he beats Takume, and afterwards, he's recruited by Pendragon. And you basically get revealed that Chrome pulls the strings, because they basically, like, say, like, hey, Chrome has all this power, and they basically just, like, kind of got him to this opportunity almost, and he managed to prove himself. And he's like, you want to know what? Even though Exu left, I want you to put on this Max. You're going to become an X. You're going to become an Z. Basically, like, Shigeru throws away his entire past life. He's like, he's gone. He's killed. I will be Common Z for you, because he just wants any respect at all from his idol. It's so, like, fucked up and twisted how Chrome is, that he does not by the way, by the end of this and all this stuff, whatever, that he makes Common Z, Shigeru, basically try to also do the same thing of trying to be like Common X exactly. That's why I use the drawn bust or whatever, and the whole Common fiasco, and it connects actually to those previous episodes really well. And by the end of it, it's like, I don't even give a shit what you're doing. Why are you calling yourself Common Z? I don't care. Actually, that plan was dog shit. That was stupid. Me and Exu are one. That is all that we need. That is the real plan. And it's like, he's been trying to fill this void that his teammate has been gone, because, like, he wants that connection. That'll do anything to fill the void. Shigeru just doesn't even give a shit. But Shigeru idolizes him, gets tossed aside, gets no respect at all. It's like, dude, Chrome needs therapy, man. Chrome needs therapy. But very compelling antagonist to the end. Really makes Chrome a lot more stronger in the finale. Really gives Shirodu, makes Kamen Z make more sense in the anime than in the manga. The manga, you don't even give a shit. Like, why is he called Kamen Z, right? So again, really, really strong. I think all these episodes are really, really good. They build off each other. I think, technically speaking, I think this goes to the whole Kamen fiasco as well. But again, everything very, very solid. I think, aside from that, that's it. If you are new here, subscribe to the channel, comment your thoughts. And as well, mallofbays.com. We have Beyblade X products, Beyblade Burst products. It is an optional way to support the channel. I appreciate any and all support regardless. And what did you think of these episodes? I thought overall, it's been really building off each other really well. I think the story is really solid. I think probably the weakest parts of the Beyblade X are still what I've been thinking, but narratively wise, character writing, it's really good. If only we could have it where everything could work on the same level almost, then we would have peak. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Not really much else to mention here. I'm trying to see anything. And there might be even smaller details that I didn't even think to mention. I tried to really condense this because it's 3 episodes. I want to get my summary and my thoughts on this. But yeah, what did you think of these episodes? Which was your favorite out of 43 to 45? I think 45 is probably my favorite one. It's just such a twisted origin where it kind of flips like, hey, this is how what Bird could have... This may be what could have happened to Bird if Bird met Chrome. So, yeah, I don't know. That's about it. Thank you for watching. That'll be it for now. Take care and bye.